Guten Tag, and welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Chad Hyams here. Bob Stewart over there. How you doing, Bob Stewart?
Over here, like in Germany, is that where Guten Tag would place me?
That's where you would be. Yes, if you were saying Guten Tag, yet you've given me a challenge. I'm running out of hellos.
I took German for 1 year in high school, Chad. As a sophomore in high school, I took German, and then my family moved. And the new school I moved to did not offer German, but you have to have 2 years of a foreign language back in those days. I don't know if this is still the case, by the way, to get into college. Okay. And so then I had to take 2 years of Spanish.
Oh. I had to take 1 year of French living in Toronto, growing up there. Some schools made you do it all the time. The school I was in, it wasn't yet a thing that you had to do it all. I only had to do 1 year. Forgot almost all of it. I can say bonjour. And I can get by with the pickleball people, Bob, because there's so many French Canadians down here right now in the winter months playing pickleball. So I'm learning
to just say bonjour. They let you go. They're like, oh, he's one of us.
And I know the word merde because they say that one a lot when they make a bad shot. We won't define what that one means for the youngsters listening. Bob, look. We were laughing before this about that kind of movie you could watch again and again and again. An audience, I want to know, like, what's that movie? Come into our Facebook group. What's that movie you could like just have on repeat every day? You would still laugh at the stupid jokes. You would still laugh at that stuff. And Bob, one of the ones we both very quickly agreed on is We're the Millers.
Yeah.
Which is not a good movie. I mean, it's not getting any Academy Award yet. We can laugh at that one a lot. Yes?
Yeah, I love that. It's one I'll stop when it's on TBS or whatever and watch it. Yeah, I think that movie's hilarious.
And we even own it from the iCloud. We bought it. No one understands the cloud, but we've bought it so we can go back to it when there's just nothing on TV. Yet we all know Jason also played one of the most legendary coaches in television. And folks, if you have a subscription to Apple TV, I know you've watched Ted Lasso. And this is one of those shows, Bob, I know you haven't actually watched it yet, right?
I mean, you're one of the 7 people. I watched it because it's, if you're in your reels on Instagram for a while, I was like, you'd see him all the time, right? Like he's got all these kind of iconic speeches from that show or whatever. So, I'm exposed. I'm aware of what it was. And I think if I'm not mistaken, he was like an American that goes over and coaches a British soccer team or something.
He was an American football coach.
Okay.
He gets hired to coach football, which, of course, is soccer. And he doesn't even understand the game.
Got it. Okay.
Which brings us much of the humor to it. Folks, you might not know this. So let me give you a little history. The character was developed by Jason for NBC Sports for promos in 2013 when the English Premier League was coming to the U.S. He created this character, a football coach, talking soccer because it was football back then. He said he based it on Wooden, one of the greatest coaches of all time, Belichick, and Pete Carroll.
Really?
Those were the 3 coaches that he based this upon. And many of the highest moments were improvised on the show. They were just having so much fun. One of them will be discussed in today's conversation. I won't give it away until we get there. I'll say, and that was the improvised, one of the most famous moments of the show. And Roy Kent, hands down, got to be your favorite character on the show. If you tell me anybody else is your favorite character on the show, you got to go back and watch it again. Roy Kent, played by Brett Goldstein. He was actually a writer for the show, Bob. And as he was writing this character, he said, wait a minute, that's me. Went and auditioned to play the part that he had been writing and became Roy Kent.
I feel like that's cheating. Like the writer was writing it is like, nobody can do this part better than I can. Like, of course he's going to get the part.
You would think so. So today, folks, we are going on a Ted Lasso journey, and we are bringing you a list we found of the 13 leadership lessons from Ted Lasso. Drumroll. Well, I figured Dave would insert. I mean, I know he doesn't, but he should.
He listens to us anymore. Like,
no, he just sees it. He watches the little lines, make sure, and then he just posts them.
We're not in the podcast room anymore. We just occasionally get like an annoyed text from Dave where he's like, "Here's what you need."
Dave, we love you. Don't delete us. All right, Bob, 13 leadership lessons from Ted Lasso. Number 1 is
be sincere.
Well, that's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay. Nobody wants to deal with somebody they don't feel like is being real, right?
Right. Ted was as sincere as they come on this show. If you ever, as I said, if you've ever watched it, he was the most sincere guy. And folks, people will follow people who are being sincere, right? When they believe you actually care, like Ted did, when they believe you're actually asking because you want, when they believe that you are coming from kindness, the way Ted did, being that person, they're going to follow you each and every day. It's
Chad,
a simple.
I've been recently like sharing a part of why I do what I do with the people in our world that I get a chance to coach and work with. And I've had a few people come up to me afterwards, and it's a really kind of vulnerable part of me, but it's why I'm so driven by the mission at our company. And I've had a number of people come up and be like, "Hey, like you should do that more. Like you should you should share why you do what you do and what gets you excited more." Like that was, I've heard you 15 times. This is the first time I've ever heard you share that story. So I think people are, Ben's story is very much this vulnerable. There's an element of vulnerability, I think, in being sincere that if you can tap into it, it really resonates with people. And so I haven't seen Ted Lasso, but I would assume that, much of his sincerity comes out of a place of being willing to be vulnerable.
And Bob, because you said that, I'm going to go out of order on the list.
Okay.
And I'm going to confuse us because what's now number 2 on the list, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness.
Couldn't agree more. And so now you guys all know I haven't really read through this list at a super high depth. I swear that wasn't intentional, but there it is. Chad, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. I could not agree more. I think that the more you showcase it and are willing to be it, the more it attracts people. It attracts people because I think most people, Chad, when they look and see somebody that maybe they'd like to emulate or there's some attributes of that person that they'd like to try to work towards and build for themselves, there's this, for me at least personally, as I saw these people in my career, there's this kind of aura of like, I don't know, invincibility or they got their shit all together or everything must go right for them. And I think allowing people to see that that's not always the case makes people more willing to like buy in and listen to what you're saying. And we're talking about this from a leadership perspective, right? Be willing to be led by you if they don't think that you're this superhuman that has no flaws.
Yeah, I remember when I first started working with Ben and attempted to tell my story and share the successes I had. And I remember he sat me down one day and he said, "Tell me something that went wrong in your life." Right? And I was like, "Well, I was really overweight. I did this. I was completely upside down financially. I got into this relationship, which was disastrous. He said, "Good, start telling those stories." Right? Because when you become vulnerable and tell people, "I am not perfect. I have many a flaw. I this, I that." 1, they relate to you better. 2, they want to lift you up. Right? People naturally want to lift you up. If you've ever read How to Win Friends and Influence People, what's one of the top lessons? It's put yourself down first. Others will lift you back up. Right? You'll create stronger bonds, stronger relations. All right, Bob, number 3, just to mess with you now.
Stay teachable. Stay teachable.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
I think it's the longer you go, the harder it gets. In some ways, a lot of us, especially if we're good at what we do, right? We maybe settle into good. And the problem these days, a challenge these days is things they move fast, right? Technology moves fast. The tools I'm using in my business move fast. So I think if you're even if you're good at what you do, just give it 5 years and you will not be any longer unless you stay teachable and you're willing to go in there and realize that you need to continue to improve. I'm struggling with this right now. Struggling. My son and I have this conversation a lot right now. because he's looking around and he's better than all the other first graders. And so he thinks and I'm like, hey, listen, like, don't worry, we'll run into somebody soon that's gonna, be a reason that you need to keep going. But he's got to stay open to being teachable. He doesn't know it all.
That's a great example right there of it, Bob, that we feel that we're ahead of the people in our town or the head of the people in our class or ahead of the people in our office or whatever it is. And a lot of people, that chip then shows up on their shoulder that lets them settle for good instead of reaching for great because they stop being teachable. Folks, if you think you've hit a ceiling somewhere, go find someone, right? There is somebody who is smarter than you, making more money than you, faster than you, in better shape than you, whatever it is. I'm not putting anybody down by saying that. Yeah, when you get to a point and you say, oh yeah, there's always somebody that you could go learn from to become just that little bit better again and again.
I think of like, in our real estate world, like Mike Hicks is the guy that comes to mind for me. Mike Hicks, he sold 400 houses in Idaho Falls, Idaho last year, and the guy is still investing in, like, he's a part of Ben's Metrics Mastermind group, and he's at the conference to learn the next new thing that's going to move his business along. This guy's been doing this 35 years. He doesn't need to continue to do that, but he just, because he does, his team continues to be, number one, right? And I don't know, I have a lot of good examples of this around that I can look in any direction and see people that, for all intents and purposes, like, don't need to continue to learn things, but do and continue to just drive their businesses ahead.
There you go.
In many ways.
All right. Number 4. Ted did this so well, folks. You watched it. You know he did. His leadership lesson number 4, see good in others. Bob, it's so easy to see the flaws in others. It's so easy to see, they lazy on that. They look this, they wear that, they said this, whatever it is. It's so easy to find that negative in others, usually, Bob, because it's actually swirling around in our own head about us, that we'll see it in other people. Ted tells you, flip that around, folks. See the good in others. Because if you will just take that 30 seconds to say, Bob, loving this about what I'm seeing in you lately, or loving when you said that, whatever it is, it's that gratitude moment. And we understand you can't have negativity and positivity happening at the same time within you. And if you are focused on seeing the good in others, you're going to see more in yourself as well. And people are going to want to follow that leader that points out the great things they're doing, not always beating them down.
I can remember, like, the first time I remember this in my life. When I moved when I was in high school in 11th grade. I came to this school brand new, right? And the very first kid that ever befriended me, about a month later, the basketball coach at the school, right, and I would be playing basketball, told me, like, be careful of that kid. Right, like that he's one of those kids. You don't want to be hanging out with him. You get in trouble. And I remember being very conflicted about it. But what ultimately, like, that kid was a good friend. And, like, whatever he was doing, it wasn't influencing me. And I think about that person all these years later, and he's been a success in life. Like, he owns a MMA gym up in Ferndale, up outside of Bellingham. It's a really successful gym. He's just the kindest guy. And look, he was in high school. He was maybe getting up, he didn't have the best parental role models and stuff. But, like, when I saw him, and this is like, I'm not, like, giving myself any credit here, by the way. It was really easy to see. He was just a good friend, right? And I had this coach telling me, like, I don't know, he's a bad kid. But I'm like, I don't know. Like, to me, he's nice. Like, he's a loyal friend. He was the first guy that introduced himself to me. Like, so I don't know. I've had some lessons where I see people do the opposite of this, but the real result is, like, this was actually a good person. Yeah. I don't know.
Take that moment, find that good in other people. You might be the one that sets them on a different path. You might be the one that overcomes that barrier that he wasn't having a lot of friends because the coach kept telling people to stay away from him because he was By the way, I don't know. Do you still talk to this person?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, like, we're friends.
Have you ever told them this story?
I don't know that I have. I'm not sure. No, probably not.
Interesting.
I've definitely, like, I don't know that I've told him that particular part of the story. At some point when I bumped into him in my 30s, like I did, thank him for being kind of the first person that welcomed me to town and kind of, became my friend. But good dude, Kane Markison. Appreciate you, Kane.
There you go. All right, Bob, give us number 5 if you're following along in the right order on the list.
Happiness is a choice.
Okay. It's a good choice to make. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I'm looking for a book around here, and I can't even remember. Where is it? I don't remember the book, but Untethered Soul. Have you read that one?
Of course.
I mean, to me, that's like that whole book is about this concept of like I can just decide, right? My brain's programmed in a certain way. Things happen, and my response to it is generally based on the programming of my upbringing, or but every single day, and really in almost every situation, I do have a choice of how I'm going to live inside of that situation, and it is a choice.
Yes.
Some days it's tougher than others, by the way.
And there you go, Bob. You're right. It's not always the easy choice. Some days you wake up and the world seems to want to kick you down, right? Yet the expression fake it until you make it, this is where that's coming in. It's not the fake it that you actually know how to be a doctor until you make it, because you'll probably kill somebody, right? Well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I cut here and I'll cut there. Or don't fake it as an investment person saying, oh yeah, you should do all this with your money, and then you end up losing somebody's money for them, right? But you should fake happiness until it becomes something that you truly are, because you're right. Some days it's hard to make that choice, Bob. Fake it. On the other days, just make the choice and stick with it. Happiness is a choice. That's a good one.
I'm going next. Number 6, I think winning is an attitude, Chad.
Yeah, I want to quote Ted. I want to quote Ted on this one for winning is an attitude. Ted said in one of the episodes, success is not about the wins and losses. It's about helping these young fellas be the best versions of themselves on and off the field, right? Winning is an attitude. Doesn't mean you always have to win.
Doesn't mean you always have the highest score. I mean, I think of Kobe Bryant here. Like I remember them, interviewing him after they'd lost the championship. And he was like, if we'd have won it, oh, great. Guess what I would have done the next day? I would have came back and got to work again. And if we lost it, I would have came back and got to work again. And we did lose it. And here I am back at work again, essentially paraphrased. But like his attitude is like, it doesn't matter what happened for the score. Like I'm out to build like a winning brand, a winning culture, right? Like every day I show up, and no matter what the scoreboard said, like his mentality is winner.
Absolutely, right? Winning is an attitude, folks. Go have that attitude, right? And allow yourself to understand that even when you lose, winning is an attitude. You can still find the wins in that loss that's out there, and let it come everywhere in life.
My wife's in the background. You can see her. The audience can't, because we don't do video on these things.
Hi, Aaron.
And you noticed my baseball card sitting up here. This is the first time she's come down here and saw this. I just hung this up last night. So she's confused where her clock is, because I had to move the clock. So I don't know. I'm probably in big trouble for making a...
Yeah, lights just went off on Bob. Yep. The lights just got turned off down there.
We don't use lights in this house. We do not use lights. If the sun can light something up, we're going to light it up with the sun. So
we're saving on the electricity and all that kind of stuff. Don't want to pay the extra tariffs. I get it. Here you are, though, just got in trouble from your wife is what it really means. All right. Number 6 was winning is an attitude. Number 7, have confidence in yourself. Bob, if you don't have confidence in yourself, no one else is going to have confidence in you.
I mean, look, it's most of the time in our professional lives, this is a skill, a discussion about our skills. Like as we practice them and we improve our skills needed to perform our professional duties, our confidence increases.
Yes.
I mean, you can't just I don't know, fake it till you make it's tricky, I think. Like in some ways, okay. But in again, I go back to my son and just everything. I can't just be like, hey, just fake it till you make it with that dribble. And he's like, I just turned it over the last 15 times I tried to dribble it into the middle. Right. So skill tends to be the thing that will raise or instill confidence in you. So have confidence in yourself. But if you don't, probably go back to some of the foundational skills required for the things that you do, and really practice them.
Yeah, I was talking with someone today that I have the pleasure of coaching, and this person, highly successful in their industry, highly successful with what they do. They've been doing it for 25 years. They're continuously a top producer, top performer, and then they still always question, well, am I just getting lucky? Right? Is it just working out? And it's, look, you have to have that confidence in yourself, because if you don't, no one else will. And even you've proven it to yourself again and again and again. Confidence sometimes is very hard for some people to get a handle on, Bob. There's a big difference to remember, audience, between confidence and arrogance. And I will tell you, that was one I had a huge challenge with, right? I leaned towards the arrogant side for a long time because I became overly confident about certain things. Be careful, yet you need the confidence in yourself. That will radiate, others will follow.
Glad it sounds like you've been opening some notes that I was passing you 15 years ago that I don't think you were reading back then. Like you're
Nita tells me all the time, Bob, after I have the pleasure of going to one of those conferences and speaking or getting to do a presentation, she has the pleasure of telling me my job is to bring you back down to earth so that your head fits through the door again, buddy. Right? So confidence, not arrogance. Okay. Bob, take us to the next one. Where are we? I think we're on number 8.
Optimists take more chances. Optimists take more chances.
Yes. I mean, if you are an optimist, you're going to take a chance on things because you believe it's probably going to work out for you.
Yeah.
When you're a pessimist, you just sit there and go, oh, no, it's all going to fail.
I don't know. Like, do you think somebody can change from being an optimist? Like just their default state is pessimist. Do you think somebody can become an optimist?
That's an interesting question. I don't think Eeyore could ever become an optimist, just like I don't think Tigger could ever become a pessimist, right? Yet I think you can get someone who's not all the way to the extreme moving closer. If it was on a 10-point scale where 5 was perfectly balanced, you could probably get a 1 over to a 3 or a 4.
Yeah, you could move them 2 or 3 points, but you couldn't move them from a 10 to a 1.
You're not moving a pessimist all the way to an, but you can absolutely become more optimistic if you're a pessimist on certain things. And that's going to come with training how you look at things.
We should do an episode on how to turn yourself from a pessimist to an optimist. Like, can we let's find an expert on that. I feel like, I don't know, half the world's a pessimist out there, right? Or I don't know what the percentages are, but I bet
you're being negative about that now, Bob, and saying half of them are.
We could dig up. I bet we could dig up some stats.
All right, we're making note of that. Pessimist, optimist. Make it a future episode, whether we have a guest or we get to work doing some research. Write that down. So when I say to you, Bob, got a topic, you actually have one. All right. I love number 9 on this list, Bob. When Ted Lasso's leadership lessons teach us, everyone differs from everyone else.
Yeah, we're all unique.
There's only one Bob Stewart. Thank goodness, right? There might be a bunch of people named Bob Stewart.
There are. All my domains and all my usernames.
There's only one Bob Stewart out there, and it makes you unique. Now, if you go back to all these other things Ted's already been sharing with us, right? Being sincere, being teachable, vulnerability is a strength, happiness is a choice, confidence in yourself. You're you. And you got to bring it from within you because you are different and you bring something to every conversation. You bring something to every experience. And we have to remember that you differ. So just because you bring this look at it, other people bring that look at it. And you have to be open to accepting it as much as confident in bringing a different perspective to things because you are unique.
Well said. Number 10, courage is the willingness to attempt.
Can I quote Ted for you before you talk about it a little?
I mean, I can't quote him. I've never seen it. So you do it.
There you go. All right. Ted says, taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse, isn't it? If you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong.
And if you're comfortable while you're doing it, riding a horse, by the way, you're going to be uncomfortable later, I think. Like your butt's
absolutely, right? That's right. If you're comfortable doing it while you're taking on a challenge, right, you're probably doing it wrong. And courage is the willingness to attempt. You were just saying as Ted's next leadership lesson, folks, that means get out of being comfortable. Right? Because if you're just being comfortable, you're probably doing it wrong and there's no growth coming from the opportunity, therefore no leadership coming from that.
Go out and try stuff. Go out and try stuff. By the way, it doesn't have to be 100% ready for you to go try it. You can probably get it 80% of the way there, Chad, and then just go try it.
Yeah, we talked about that just recently, actually, in an episode, Bob, right? When you get to 80% good, just do it. We've also had a bunch of episodes, we'd have to go back and find them, where we talked about the misogi that Jesse Itzler had talked about a lot, right? Taking on that huge challenge that you're 50% more likely to fail at doing it. But what's the lesson that's going to come and what's the growth that's going to come even while you don't make it to the top of Mount Everest or 29029 or don't finish the marathon or whatever it is? What's that giant challenge you can take on? Courage is the willingness to attempt something, Bob.
Number 11, because we're back on track now.
Hey, very good.
Doing the right thing is never the wrong thing, Chad.
That's an excellent point, Bob. Have you ever done the right thing and it's gone wrong?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it end up working out in the end, though? Or
here's what I would say to that. If I did the right thing and it went wrong, I don't have any regrets about it. There's absolutely been times where I didn't do the right thing and it turned out fine and okay, and I ended up with regrets about it, even though it ended up fine and okay. So I don't think I've ever, when doing the right thing, ended up with regrets. I might not have ended up with the outcome that I wanted, but I was comfortable in my own skin having, made that decision.
What a great point. Goes right back to that vulnerability is going to be a strength, right? It goes back to being sincere that we talked about, Bob, that if you can do the right thing, it's never the wrong thing.
Yeah, this is actually sorry, were you going to finish that one?
No, go ahead.
I was going to move. This is my favorite one on this whole list. Like, as I look at this list.
That's good, because I want the last one being the Ted Lasso watcher. Okay. You take number 12 here on the list, then I'll recap.
Favorite one, be curious, not judgmental. And
Talk about it.
I don't know. I think I spent a lot of years being the opposite, like just being the judgmental guy. I'm like, oh, he's an idiot. She's lazy. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. This guy, like, and the reality is, gosh, I wonder why he's never, known about that thing. Or I wonder what prevents her from wanting to do the thing she said she was going to do. I don't know. Maybe some wisdom along the way made me realize, like, people, and it probably goes back to number 8. Everyone's different from everyone else. And my judgment is all coming from my frame of reference for the most part. And I'm judging people that are different than me. I don't know their story. I don't know their background. And honestly, I'd probably be better served to wonder whether I get the answer or not. Just simply having that curiosity about it instead of judgment. It makes your brain, I think, I don't know. It's just a posture that if you take it across, most of your time on the earth here, Chad, you're going to end up a much happier, more, you don't carry around so much weight on your shoulders. It's a posture, I think, that.
Bob, if you go back to the everyone is different from everyone else leadership tip that Ted gives us, the challenge is we all think in our head, I shouldn't say all, but most people think in their head, oh, well, you're like me and I've experienced this, so you're wrong, right? Not knowing that, oh, Bob, you went through this as a kid, or, oh, you went through that. I was actually just talking with Nita about something earlier, and she said to me, did you ask that person if they were abused when they were younger in life? Because maybe that's why they're acting a certain way that they're acting now, instead of being judgmental and just saying, oh, well, they're just stupid that they're choosing that. She said, did you ask? And I was like, well, we haven't had that conversation yet. It was not in the right place to ask that question. But by being curious, we can live up to understanding that everyone is different. And they don't all have the exact same history and experiences that we've had along the way.
It's interesting. Like, I think the time when I'm the most, well, I don't know, as I look back at my life, like that time when my wife and I are dating and you're in that first, that like she could do no wrong. But you're full of curiosity in that time. Very little judgment. I was never sitting there going, oh my God, she everywhere we go, she's asking for a discount. Like, what a crazy lunatic, right? Instead, I was like, oh my gosh, it makes me uncomfortable when you do that. But like, why do you always ask for a discount everywhere, right? And she was able to tell me, like, I always wanted to when my mom always got ran over by everybody and she never defended herself. And so I always, as a little kid where I couldn't say anything, thought when I'm old enough, I'm gonna ask. I'm always gonna ask, right? And I don't know, man. Like early in a relationship, I think you're probably the least judgmental person you are, and you formed like the quickest bond with somebody because most of where you're coming from is a place of curiosity.
What a great tie to that, Bob. You're absolutely right. Folks, go back to that curiosity instead of the judgmental that comes along with time sometimes, and remember it. All right, Bob, let me recap these, and then let me get to 13. Which was the improv moment on the show. Number 1, be sincere. Number 2, vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. Number 3, stay teachable. Number 4, see good in others. Number 5, happiness is a choice. Number 6, winning is an attitude. Number 7, have confidence in yourself. Number 8, optimists take more chances. Number 9, everyone differs from everyone else. Number 10, courage is the willingness to attempt. Number 11, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. Number 12, be curious, not judgmental. And number 13 on Ted Lasso's leadership lessons. Now, listeners who have watched the show believe that number 13 is going to be believe. It's not. It's not believe, okay? And if you've seen the show, we're thinking that's where we're going on this. No, number 13 was improv when they were running the script that time. And Ted Lasso gave us the leadership lesson, be a goldfish. And he told us to be a goldfish, Bob, because goldfish have a 10-second memory. And there is no better mindset for resilience than that of a goldfish mindset, because something that goes wrong will not define you, because in less than 10 seconds, you can forget about it and move on.
This is why I love sports. I don't know. I played them growing up. My dad played them, so I played them, right? So my kids are going to play them.
Yep.
That sports is the epitome of this. You just like miss the shot, so what? Get back on defense. Like hit a bad
make the next shot.
So what? You got a next shot, right? Dropped a pass. So what? Your next play's up. Missed the tackle. So what? You're going to have to make a tackle on the next play. Like I don't know any other environment where I was taught this lesson more than in sports. Really?
Even the environment you're in, you got to know, make another call.
Well, here's what I should say. I had that by the time I got to the spot where I was making phone calls and 100 a day and getting told no 98 times, right? I already had that lesson, right? Had I not had that lesson in sports, that would have been the welcome to the world, moment for me. But
entrepreneurs, you need to be a goldfish.
Yeah.
Right? Because you need to forget what happened 10 seconds ago, because even if it was good, you need to go do it again. You need to go repeat it. And if it was bad, you need to just forget that it ever happened so that you can refocus and move on immediately. Bob, be a goldfish, my friend. Teach your kids to be a goldfish.
I'm a goldfish. And if I ever need to remember something that I've forgotten, my wife will remind me.
There you go. She's got the steel trap. You be the goldfish.
You can't have 2 goldfishes in your marriage, by the way. You got to have one goldfish and one elephant or whatever.
That's right. And we mean that with the memory of the elephant, not anything else in there, because we're not being judgmental.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Folks, if you've never watched it, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a show to watch,
by the way,
go
in
get
that
a
group,
free trial.
Stewart is in the Never Watched Ted Lasso group, but
get the free trial to Apple and binge the living crap out of Ted Lasso so that you can watch one of arguably the best shows ever to be on TV.
You're telling me tonight I give myself about 30 minutes of TV time every night, Chad.
One episode right there.
Instead of watching my one episode of Seinfeld for the 87th time, I should watch a new episode of Ted Lasso for the first time.
Yes, go sign up for Apple TV and do it, Bob Stewart. Folks, borrow someone else's login if you need to. Until our next episode, remember the lessons Ted has brought us. Don't be a goldfish about win, make, give, because we're coming back. But until then, do good.